Admiral Vex'thul of the Galactic Dominion had seen many things in his 300 cycles of service. He'd witnessed the subjugation of 17 star systems, overseen the pacification of countless primitive species, and commanded fleets that could crack planets like eggs. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for the sight of Cadet Marcus Webb casually doing push-ups in the detention cell. "Sir, the human has been at this for 2 hours straight," reported Lieutenant Crix, his mandibles clicking nervously. "Should we intervene?" Vex'thul's 4 eyes narrowed as he watched the bizarre display through the reinforced plasma glass. The human's pale skin glistened with moisture, what their species called sweat apparently, and yet he showed no signs of fatigue. If anything, the creature seemed to be gaining momentum. "How many has he completed?" Vex'thul asked, though he dreaded the answer. 7,436, sir, and counting." The Admiral's secondary stomach lurched. This was impossible. Even their finest Krelthan warriors could barely manage half that number before their exoskeletons cracked from exhaustion. Yet here was this Deathworld savage, treating what should be torture as casual exercise. "Perhaps," Vex'thul mused, watching Webb transition seamlessly into one-handed push-ups, "we underestimated their physical capabilities." Oh, what a cosmic understatement that would prove to be. The detention block of the Dominion flagship Eternal Conquest was designed to break the spirits of the most stubborn rebels. Temperature fluctuations that could freeze or boil most species, gravitational fields that crushed bones, and sonic frequencies that shattered minds, all standard features of Galactic Dominion hospitality. Webb had been humming the entire time. Not just any humming either. According to their cultural database, it was something called "Don't Stop Me Now" by an ancient Terran musical collective known as Queen. The irony wasn't lost on Lieutenant Crix, who had spent the last hour fighting the urge to join in. The melody was annoyingly catchy. "Sir," Crix ventured, "perhaps we should reconsider the interrogation protocols. This human doesn't seem to be responding as expected." Rodriguez. Vex'thul's pride as a member of the supposedly superior Galactic Dominion was taking a beating. They were meant to be the apex species, tall, elegant, intellectually gifted beings with technology that bordered on godlike. Their ships could traverse galaxies in heartbeats, their weapons could atomize mountains, and their psionic abilities could crush minds with a thought. So why was a single human cadet making them look like amateur bullies? The answer came knocking. Literally, when Webb finished his warm-up routine and approached the cell door. He rapped his knuckles against the plasma-reinforced barrier with the casual confidence of someone asking to borrow sugar from a neighbor. "Hey there," Webb called out cheerfully. "I hate to be a bother, but could I get some water? All this exercise is making me thirsty. Oh, and maybe a sandwich? Nothing fancy, just some protein and carbs would be great." Crix looked at his superior with barely concealed panic. He's requesting refreshments, sir." "I can hear him, Lieutenant," Vex'thul growled, though his voice lacked its usual authority. How was he supposed to intimidate a prisoner who treated captivity like a hotel stay? Webb continued his cheerful assault on their dignity. "Also, I noticed your gravity settings are a bit off. You've got it cranked up to about 3 times Earth standard, right? That's perfect for strength training, actually. Mind if I borrow some of those metal plates from the wall? They'd make excellent weights." The metal plates Webb referred to were emergency bulkhead seals, each one weighing approximately 400 galactic standard units. They were designed to be moved only by heavy machinery or teams of the strongest species in the Dominion. "Sir," Crix whispered, "he can't possibly be serious about it." The sound of rending metal cut him off. They watched in horrified fascination as Webb casually pried one of the plates from its mounting with his bare hands. The reinforced brackets, designed to withstand the vacuum of space, snapped like twigs. "Perfect," Webb grinned, hefting the massive plate above his head with one hand. "This'll do nicely for bicep curls. You wouldn't happen to have any heavier ones, would you?" Vex'thul felt his confidence crumbling like a sandcastle in a tsunami. This was supposed to be a routine operation: capture the human reconnaissance team, extract information about Earth's defenses, and move on to the conquest phase. Simple, clean, efficient. Instead, they had inadvertently captured what appeared to be some sort of Terran super soldier who treated their maximum security detention facility like a gymnasium. "Perhaps," the Admiral said slowly, "we should attempt direct communication." He activated the cell's intercom system, clearing his throat with what he hoped sounded like authority. "Human, I am Admiral Vex'thul of the Galactic Dominion. You will cease your activities and prepare for interrogation." Webb paused mid-curl, the 400-unit plate still held casually aloft. "Oh, hey there, Admiral, right? That's a pretty cool title. I'm Marcus Webb, Terran Space Corps. Nice to meet you." The casual friendliness was somehow more unsettling than outright hostility would have been. Vex'thul had dealt with defiant prisoners before. They screamed, they threatened, they begged. This human was conducting himself like they were at some sort of social gathering. "You are a prisoner of the Galactic Dominion," Vex'thul continued, trying to inject some menace into his voice. "Your cooperation will determine the extent of your suffering." Webb's eyebrows rose in what their cultural database identified as surprise. "Suffering? Oh man, I think there's been a misunderstanding. See, where I come from, this kind of workout is what we call fun. Though I've got to say, your hospitality could use some work. Usually when someone's your guest, you offer them refreshments without being asked." Crix leaned closer to his commander. "Sir, should we increase the punishment protocols?" Before Vex'thul could respond, Webb was speaking again. "Actually, while we're chatting, maybe you could help me understand something. Your ship's database says the Galactic Dominion has conquered over 200 species, right? And you guys consider yourselves the apex of evolution and all that?" "We are the supreme species in the galaxy," Vex'thul replied, though with less conviction than usual. "Huh, that's interesting." Webb set down the metal plate with a clang that echoed through the detention block. "'Cause from where I'm standing, it looks like your supreme species just locked up one guy in what you probably thought was an inescapable prison, and now you're trying to figure out why your prisoner is having a better time than your guards." The truth of that statement hit Vex'thul like a plasma torpedo to the gut. Around the detention block, he could see his crew watching the human with a mixture of fear and fascination. Morale was plummeting by the minute. "Your species' reputation precedes you," Webb continued conversationally. "Word is you've been steamrolling across the galaxy for millennia, right? Never met serious resistance? Everything just rolls over and shows its belly when the big bad Dominion shows up?" "That is correct," Vex'thul found himself answering, though he wasn't sure why he was engaging in this conversation. Webb nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, I figured as much. See, that's going to be a problem for you." "How so, human?" The smile that spread across Webb's face was friendly, almost innocent. But there was something in his eyes, a predatory gleam that sent ice through Vex'thul's circulatory system. "Because," Webb said, cracking his knuckles with sounds like gunshots, "you've never met anyone from a Deathworld before." And with that ominous statement hanging in the air, Cadet Marcus Webb picked up his improvised weight and resumed his workout routine, humming that infernal Terran melody while the most feared military force in the galaxy watched helplessly through reinforced glass. 3 hours later, Admiral Vex'thul was questioning every life choice that had led him to this moment. The human, Marcus Webb, had somehow converted their maximum security detention cell into what he cheerfully called the best gym in the sector. He'd rearranged the furniture, jury-rigged a pull-up bar from support beams, and was currently using a broken security drone as a medicine ball. The worst part? He was still humming. "Sir," Lieutenant Crix approached with the trembling gait of someone delivering catastrophic news. "The detention block's power grid is struggling." "Struggling how, exactly?" Vex'thul asked, though he suspected he didn't want to know. "The human's physical activity is generating seismic vibrations through the hull. Engineering reports stress fractures in 17 sections. Also, his body heat output is exceeding our climate control capacity." Vex'thul closed his eyes and prayed to whatever cosmic entity might listen to the pleas of a thoroughly humiliated admiral. "How much heat?" "Enough to warm 3 decks, sir." The crew quarters above the detention block are tropical. Of course they were. The supposedly primitive human was single-handedly overwhelming their environmental systems through the simple act of exercising. Vex'thul was beginning to suspect the Galactic Dominion's intelligence reports on Earth might have been slightly inaccurate. "Perhaps," he said through gritted teeth, "it's time for a more direct approach." The Admiral straightened his ceremonial armor, checked his sidearm, and marched toward the detention cell with all the dignity his wounded pride could muster. He would show this Deathworld barbarian what true superiority looked like. He would demonstrate the refined power of an evolved species. He would. He paused as Webb noticed his approach and waved enthusiastically. "Admiral, perfect timing. I was just finishing my cooldown routine. Thanks for stopping by. I've been hoping we could have a proper conversation." Vex'thul activated the cell's force field controls, lowering the barriers with what he hoped was intimidating precision. "Indeed, human. We will have a conversation. You will answer my questions about your species' military capabilities, defensive positions, and technological limitations." Webb tilted his head with genuine curiosity. "Or what?" The casual tone was infuriating. "Or you will experience pain beyond your primitive comprehension." "Huh." Webb considered this, then shrugged. "Fair enough. But just so we're clear on expectations here, You should probably know something about my background. Your background is irrelevant, human. Marcus Webb, age 22, born on Europa Station. Webb continued as if Vex'thul hadn't spoken. Raised on Luna Colony until age 12, then moved to Earth proper for Academy training. Currently ranked 47th in my class at the Terran Space Corps Academy. Vex'thul felt a chill run down his spine. 47th? Out of 300? Yeah. Not my best showing, academically speaking. I'm more of a hands-on learner. Webb's smile was absolutely radiant. The thing is, Admiral, I'm just a cadet, not even a real soldier yet. Still in training, you know? The implications of that statement hit Vex'thul like a meteor strike. If this was what Terran military training produced in its mediocre students, what horrors awaited when actual Earth soldiers arrived? You lie, Vex'thul said, though his voice lacked conviction. Why would I lie about being average? Webb laughed, a sound that somehow managed to be both friendly and utterly terrifying. Look, I get it. Your species has been cruising around the galaxy for centuries, picking on civilizations that probably evolved in nice, comfortable environments. Pleasant temperatures, reasonable gravity, cooperative weather patterns. Am I right? Vex'thul found himself nodding before he could stop himself. Right. See, Earth's a bit different. We call it home. But honestly, our planet's been trying to kill us since we crawled out of the oceans. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, plague outbreaks, predators that make your worst nightmares look like house pets. Webb stretched casually, his joints popping like gunfire. Natural selection's been pretty aggressive with us. Kiss. This is irrelevant, Vex'thul protested weakly. Is it? Because I'm thinking maybe your intelligence reports missed some key details about human physiology. Like, did you know our bones are self-repairing? And our muscle fibers can adapt to pretty much any stress load? Oh, and we've got this neat trick where extreme situations trigger adrenaline production that basically turns us into temporary superhumans. As if to demonstrate, Webb reached out and gently grasped one of the cell's support struts, a titanium alloy beam designed to withstand ship-to-ship combat stresses. His grip tightened slowly, and the metal began to deform with soft creaking sounds. The really fun part, Webb continued conversationally while casually crushing space-grade materials, is that we get stronger when we're threatened. Something about evolutionary pressure and survival instincts. Pretty neat biological feature, right? Vex'thul's 4 eyes were fixed on the slowly crumbling metal in Webb's grip. That is, impressive. Thanks. Oh, and Admiral, you mentioned something about pain being beyond my comprehension. Webb released the mangled support beam and turned his full attention to the alien commander. Thing is, I grew up in a gravity well that's probably double what you're used to, in an atmosphere that would be toxic to most galactic species, on a world where the weather systems regularly generate enough energy to level cities. The temperature in the detention block seemed to drop several degrees. Or maybe that was just Vex'thul's circulation shutting down, as survival instincts older than civilization screamed warnings. So when you threaten me with pain, Webb continued, stepping closer with movements that looked casual but somehow suggested barely contained violence, I'm wondering what exactly you think you can do to me that hasn't been done already. Vex'thul's hand moved instinctively toward his plasma sidearm, a weapon capable of vaporizing most organic matter. Webb noticed the movement and his expression brightened. Oh, you want to try the energy weapon? That's actually a great idea. I've been curious about Dominion military tech. Webb held out his hand, palm up in what appeared to be an invitation. Go ahead, give me your best shot. You cannot be serious. Dead serious, 1 plasma bolt, right here in the palm. I promise I'll hold perfectly still. Against every instinct screaming at him to retreat, Vex'thul drew his weapon. Perhaps a demonstration of superior firepower would restore some balance to this nightmare scenario. He aimed carefully at the human's outstretched palm and fired. The plasma bolt struck Webb's hand with a flash of superheated energy that should have reduced flesh and bone to vapor. Instead, the human examined his palm with mild interest, brushing away some char marks like they were dust. Huh, that actually tickled a little. Your plasma temperature runs about 4,000 degrees, right? That's pretty warm. Webb looked up with genuine appreciation. Though I've got to say, your targeting's excellent. Dead center, perfect accuracy. Vex'thul's weapon clattered to the floor as his nerveless fingers refused to grip it any longer. This wasn't possible. No organic being could survive direct plasma contact. It violated every law of biology he knew. See, the thing about Deathworld evolution, Webb explained helpfully, is that it doesn't just make you tough, it makes you adaptable. Temperature extremes, radiation exposure, toxic atmospheres, crushing gravity. After a few million years, you develop some pretty interesting biological responses. The Admiral's legs gave out, and he found himself sitting heavily on the detention block floor, staring up at the impossible human. "Now about those questions you wanted to ask," Webb said, settling cross-legged on the floor with casual friendliness. "I'm happy to chat, but maybe we could make it more of an information exchange. Like, you tell me about Dominion fleet positions and military capabilities, and I'll share some stories about Earth. Deal?" Before Vex'thul could respond, Webb reached out and gently took hold of the Admiral's upper arm. The gesture was almost paternal in its gentleness. Then Webb's grip tightened just slightly, and Vex'thul felt his exoskeleton begin to crack under pressure that seemed impossible for such a small creature to generate. The snap of breaking chitin echoed through the detention block like a gunshot. Vex'thul screamed. Webb released his grip immediately, looking genuinely concerned. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "I barely squeezed at all. I was just trying to get your attention." Through waves of agony, Vex'thul managed to look at his arm. The forearm segment of his exoskeleton had fractured cleanly, hanging at an unnatural angle. The most advanced medical technology in the galaxy would require weeks to repair the damage, and the human claimed he had barely applied pressure. "Medical team to detention block." Lieutenant Crix's voice crackled over the intercom, high-pitched with panic. Webb stood and looked around the gathering crowd of shocked alien crew members, his expression shifting to something that made Vex'thul's blood freeze in his veins. Gone was the casual friendliness, replaced by something predatory and ancient. Something that had crawled out of a world where everything was designed to kill, and had not only survived but thrived. "So," Webb said quietly, his voice carrying easily through the sudden silence, "who's next?" The detention block erupted into chaos, as the most feared military force in the galaxy discovered what it meant to face a creature from a death world. And somewhere in the back of his fading consciousness, Admiral Vex'thul realized that the Galactic Dominion had just made a terrible, terrible mistake. They had tried to conquer humanity, but humanity, it seemed, had other plans.